Hey everybody, watch this review here, and this week's special Halloween theme is invaders, which are people who are either from another world, look like they're from another world, or of course from another dimension. Now first, who shall I do? Let's see. Oh, I know exactly who to do. I will do Mysterio. Actually, I kind of probably delayed that in the smoke effect, but this is from the Spider-Man 3 series, which, I mean, the one downfall to this, I mean, there are two really big problems with this figure, which I'll go into, but the first and foremost biggest problem is actually the fact that it's from the Spider-Man 3 series. Why is that? Yeah. The Spider-Man 3 series for the movie were 5-inch scale figures. Now, what runs in the 5-inch scale? Well, certainly not Marvel Legends. Let's see. Oh, how about Marvel Universe? Nope. I guess some people just don't fit in. And actually, Quentin Beck would probably be one of them, but I do believe he fits in with the older figures that were produced, because this is generally the size that you'd see a lot of the older figures for the Toy Biz lines and so forth 10, 15 years ago, so kind of a throwback, huh? I mean, it was just, I was so excited to actually find a version of Mysterio based on his appearance from the Spider-Man 2 video game that, I mean, even that doesn't really hurt me all that much. I mean, it's annoying, but hey, it's the Spider-Man 2 version, so awesome. I mean, if not for the whole 5-inch scale, he'd actually be a pretty kick-ass figure, but yeah, just toss that down there while I do that. But the only other major problem is, like, he totally lacks, like, a ton of articulation, which I'll go into in a second. But I mean, other than that, you know, the robe detailing is really hot. He comes with just a really great stand/prop. If he has smoke effect, you'll notice that it has peg holes so we can attach into it. I think he's technically, I bought it loose for 99 cents and paid $5 shipping and handling, by the way. So I'm not sure exactly how it goes into it, but I mean, he might just stand into it like this, or he can hide behind it. But I mean, if the robe is a really thick plastic, it's not like the thin rubbery kind. I mean, it's really thick rubber, but if you look underneath it, he's got like no articulation in the waist. He's got like, I mean, barely any articulation, no articulation of the hand. I mean, he's got a ball joint shoulder, but I mean, it's really reminiscent of something you would get like 10 years ago, except for the detailing's a bit better. But I mean, this doesn't even shift around, which actually is kind of, I mean, it does a little bit, but like when you're trying to do it like this, it's not going to move. It'll only move when it's in this position. So very kick-ass looking figure, very cool sculpt, but I mean, the Spider-Man 3 series just pissed the hell out of me, just because it was the wrong scale, and because things looked smaller, everything looked cheaper. Like, I was gonna get the Goblin from the series, but like when I was looking at it, I didn't like come to grips immediately with the fact that it was smaller than the other figures, but it just looked like a lot chintzier, and then later on I figured, you know, that's why. I mean, I really wanted a new Goblin for my collection, but so, you know, you can't really put him with any of your normal figures because otherwise the difference in scale will be almost immediately visible. But in terms of articulation underneath the robe, I mean, you can't really ever make use of all that much of it because it would just look weird. But he's got a pretty decent ball joint leg. It's got a full range of motion. It'll go out to any place you put it. This will twist. This goes down. I mean, I'm not sure if you'd consider that a single joint or double joint knee, but it's kind of kooky. And then, of course, nothing at the leg or feet. But, I mean, all in all, I'm just really still in love with this figure because it's just for the version it represents and so forth. And it does look pretty decent, even though they use the kind of chintzy effect for the globe. I also really like the Mysterio with more of the fishbowl helmet as opposed to the sort of realistic looking helmet that you see in some of the other figures, like the Spider-Man Classic / I guess Marvel Legends Fearsome Foes box set. I don't know if that was actually the box set version, but both those versions have his more, I guess more, yeah, I mean, it just goes more straight down. I just wasn't really thrilled looking at it. I mean, it's the same figures. The only difference is if you got it from the one Spider-Man Classics line, it came with a smoke base that could shoot out these two little projectiles, whereas if you got the Marvel Legends, or I don't know if it was a Marvel Legends or a Fearsome Foes version, but it didn't come with a base. I mean, that was the only big difference. It was the same figure, just a different packing. Whereas, you know, this, on the other hand, of course, is just a completely different figure, because it's representing a different rendition of him, which isn't the classic version. But, I mean, if you've ever played Spider-Man 2, which is probably the best Spider-Man, probably one of the best comic book video games of all time. It's on the PS2, PS, GameCube, and the, I think I want to see also the Xbox, but I'm not sure. But I mean, later on in the game, Mysterio will pop up, and it's like they talk about this one Quentin Beck showing up and doing this like special effects demonstration. It's like, now how would that really be big news? I mean, they'd get like an amphitheater full of reporters to see some special effects guy from the movies do something. I mean, the stars showing up, news, directors showing up, news. Nobody really ever cares about the special effects guys in real life, which is kind of hokey, but in the middle of it, he just breaks into the presentation in the full regalia, except for I think the head was blotted out. It was just like a glowing orb at that point. Or he just goes and stands up on the stage and goes, "People of Earth, I have come to enslave you," or something. And like everybody's just like laughing it off until all of a sudden these robots like fly up and start zapping people. Which is just a hilarious scene. Probably a little bit dark, but hilarious at the same time. And of course he uses a holographic projector to reshape the Statue of Liberty in his own image, which is a cool scene. And of course lures Spider-Man to his secret hideout, which is just his apartment. I mean, come on. Kick ass, right? And then of course he goes down a secret passage, and then he has this entire like murder world place, and then actually it's hilarious when you have the final boss fight with him later on. Because like you see him and he like fills up all these massive life bars, and then it's actually hilarious. I'm not gonna get into what the, I hate just tossing out just saying, oh, this is hilarious, just without, you know, people having a reference point. But if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you probably should. Not want to really spoil it for you, so you just have to take my word for it. Although it's kind of cheapens it by telling you that you're gonna laugh probably, but so be it. The other thing is I don't like his look in the game where because he doesn't look like the Quentin Beck I'm used to. Looks like this really scrawny, nerdy guy with brown hair, as opposed to Quentin Beck, who I think was a blonde. Or at least has been a blonde on all the Mysterios that I've seen so far. Also, if you don't know how cool Mysterio is, he did single-handedly lead to the downfall of the X-Men. If you've read the Old Man Logan arc, when all the super villains banded together, his efforts alone were able to take down the entire X-Men. All of them dead, except Wolverine, of course. I think maybe, I don't know, just Wolverine offhand. But that is how awesome this guy is. He's like my 4th or 5th favorite supervillain of all time. But yeah, very cool figure, just not in scale with anything. So that's the only thing that makes it an iffy buy. Otherwise, I'd say just go out, pick up this figure, because he looks great. But, you know, it's a tough decision just because of the fact that he's missing some articulation and the scale's off, but mostly just the fact that the scale's off. Other than that, completely awesome.